Howdy guys, this is Robert Dailey, owner of Dailey Woodworks and the recreationalwoodworker.com, where we help you build great furniture. Today I'm back with another tip for using your Festool Domino, and today I'm building these mirrors that I'm going to have with some nice 4/4 walnut, and I'm doing mitered corners on it. So I'm going to show you how to lay this out, a little trick to give you just the tiniest little bit of play in your domino so you can leave it on that tight setting but still use it to position everything exactly, and a trick for clamping these things together so it's nice, strong, and flush. So let's get started. Now, if you've watched our other domino tips and tricks video, you'll remember that showed you how to use the paddles and get everything lined up so you didn't have to make any layout marks. This is completely different. This time you want all the layout marks. So I sanded this down just a little bit ago, and you can see I'm pushing it together, got a nice tight fit, everything lines up. My grain is to try to keep my grain flowing around on this. We're keeping these knot holes because we're trying to keep it a little bit rustic looking. And this is joint C. So I'm going to mark that with a C. Now I'm going to use two dominoes. So I'm wanting right there and right there. And I'll always lay them on top, because if I didn't and I decided I wanted it right there, then I would poke through and I would have a problem that I would have to fix. So I'm going to make sure that sits right there, and that's right there. So now I'm just going to make my tick mark coming across right there, and then another tick mark. I'm going to double check about the center of my dominoes. Okay, we're good. Now I know this is hard to see because of how we're laying this out, but so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little square, go back to this point, and then I'm just going to scribe my line, and I'm going to make sure I do it kind of heavy so I can see it, because it's hard to see on this walnut. Same thing here as well. Just going to go scribe my line. So we're joint C, got 1, 2. Now I'm going to set up my domino. So now that I have that marked, I'm going to make sure I have my domino on my tight setting. I've got the correct bit in there for what I'm using. I'm using the 6mm dominoes, so I'm using the 6mm bit. And we want our depth on 20, which is 20 plus 20 equals 40, which is this guy. So now I'm going to get my domino set up, and I'm going to mill up my 2 domino mortises. Now, before I actually plunge everything in, I'm going to make sure, as I reference everything, I've got a nice good purchase, I've got plenty of support of where I want to be. The reason I'm using 2 smaller dominoes instead of like a big 10 by 50 is this will help with any twisting that's in there and help hold it together. As far as the depth, I'm still set at my normal 3/4 inch material depth. This is 4/4 material. I could go lower, but that's not a critical thing to do with the domino. As long as you're in there a little bit where it's not going to telegraph through, you're good to go. You can see I've got my 2 domino mortises in my first side. Now I need to do my other side exact same way. Now on this kind of project, we're going to test fit everything. Yes, the domino is incredibly accurate, but maybe I didn't sight perfectly on that line. And here's the trick I was going to tell you. Take your domino and a razor knife, and just on the edge, take a little bit off. And don't cut yourself, but you can get a sharp knife. But by doing this, you're going to give yourself just a little bit of play. And that way, if you're not perfectly aligned, you have just that little millimeter or 2 of play to get everything how you need it. So we're going to put that in, and you can see that now it just wiggles ever so slightly. That's what we want. And now we can test our fit, making sure that everything is how we want it. And you can see I can push that together nice and tight, and it looks great. Now we've got to figure out how to hold this guy together. And now they make clamps that go around and things like that, but I don't have that available to me right now, so I'm going to cheat. So let me take it apart. And on this back side right here, we're going to drill a pocket hole location to act as our clamp while the glue dries. Alright, I've got my little helper out in the shop. Say hi, little helper. No? Okay. And now we're ready to glue this guy together. You can see I drilled one pocket screw here, so if anyone ever sees this, they're going to think some hack just put one pocket screw in there and called it good. They're not going to know there's dominoes in there. So we're going to use wood glue.
I want to use wood glue.
You want to use some wood glue?
Yeah.
Whoa. And a little bit.
Yeah.
And as always, I err on the side of too much glue. I'm going to put my dominoes in.
Don't put your dominoes in.
And then I'm just going to smear my glue around, make sure I'm getting that whole joint.
Daddy, you're going to get glue on you.
I'm not going to get glue on me. Put some glue in there. Pop our domino in.
That's a domino. You got to get this.
And since I got way too much glue, I'm going to go ahead and smear it onto the other miter.
I did it! Yes! Grown up hands.
Grown up hands is right. Good job, baby girl. Alright, so now I have all that done.
Glue!
And we're just going to push this guy together.
Daddy!
Let's see our glue squeeze out. That's what we want. Alright, so now I'm going to get my glue squeeze out cleaned up just so I can see what I'm doing. Because once it's dry, it's going to be a lot harder to get off of there.
Daddy, you got water behind this.
And now, I'm going to flip it over.
It's a roof! Roof!
And she thinks it's a roof. There we go. And now, I'm going to clamp my joint right here. Make sure it's aligned how I want it, and I'm making sure I'm aligned on the inside. That's the most important. If there's a little bit of a lip here, that'll sand, or I can fold that over later. So I've got that clamped how I want it. Make sure my joint is tight. I'm using my Festool TID 18 to drive this pocket screw. It is statistically proven that the Festool impact driver drives pocket screws better than any other driver on the market. And now we are clamped together. Hi, baby. We're clamped together. We're going to clean out our glue squeeze out.
Can I touch this?
Yeah, you can touch it.
It's wet.
Is it wet? Feel it. Can you feel it? Is it smooth as you go across it? Rub your finger like that. Is it smooth? It is? Say yes or no so we can hear you, because they can't see you. Nod your head.
Yes.
Yes? What are you doing?
Smelling it.
Smelling it? Does it smell good? Okay. Yeah, walnut smells nice. So now we have a nice tight joint. That'll dry. I'm going to glue up my other L and then come back and be ready to
Start again.
go from there.